you ever done something a little bit naughty and then when you were caught you blamed someone else? Or maybe you've sometimes been blamed for someone else's naughty deed. How did that make you feel? What did you do about it, I wonder? Hello everyone, I'm Kathleen Pelly. Welcome to Journey with Story. Today's story is a folktale from Kenya, a country in Africa. And it's all about a young man who blames his girlfriend for making him steal the tail of a Linani Beast. This story is dedicated to Tara from Kerala in India, who sent me a lovely drawing of Rumpelstiltskin. Thank you, Tara, for your drawing and for being such a loyal listener. Now, can you grab your mums or dads or a grown-up because we have some exciting news. Are you ready? Remember, this month we're celebrating Journey with Story's 100th episode. And as part of our celebration, we're having a raffle. The grand prize winner will receive 3 of my published books signed and dedicated to them. And there'll be a mix of other exciting prizes, Journey with Story colouring book and Journey with Story stickers. And to enter the raffle, you can either subscribe to this podcast and write a review, or you can follow me on Instagram and send in a photo of a child's drawing from their favourite Journey with Story episode. All the details on how to enter are in this episode description or on our website at www.journeywithstory.com, and the deadline is August the 20th, today. We'll be announcing the lucky winners on our 100th episode on August the 27th, and there's more. As part of our celebration, you can listen and watch me live on Instagram on August the 27th, reading one of my own published picture books. Which one, you ask? You'll have to wait and see. So, this story is for Tara from Kerala. Let's take a journey with the tale of the Linani Beast. There was once a young man who fell madly in love with a beautiful young girl. Every single day, he would march over to her house and beg her to marry him. Now, this young girl would not say yes, and she would not say no. Instead, she would say things like, I'm feeling so thirsty for coconut water. How I would love to have some coconut water right now. And at once, the young man would jump up and say, You want coconut water? I will fetch you coconut water right now. Then off he would run to the coconut grove, climb a tree, cut a coconut, bring it back, slice off the top, and present it to her. Here you are, a coconut for you. The next day, the young man would arrive at her house again. Please, will you marry me? The young girl would not say yes, and she would not say no. I am feeling so hungry for some fresh fish. How I would love some fresh fish for my supper tonight. You want fresh fish? I'll fetch you fresh fish right now. Then that young man would race to the stream, he would spear some fish, rush back and lay them in front of her. Here you are. Fresh fish for your supper tonight. Anything at all that girl could think of to ask, that young man would provide. But still, no matter how much he pleaded, she would not agree to marry him. One day he asked her, Isn't there anything I could bring that would persuade you to marry me? I would bring you anything at all. The girl got a faraway look in her eyes. Well, now that you mention it, there is one thing. But I'm sure you could never bring it to me. The tail of a Linani Beast. I have heard they are so beautiful, so silky, so rare. Imagine how famous I would be if I owned such a tail. The young man gulped. The Linani Beasts live deep in the forest. The Linani Beasts crunch up humans for their dinner. Yes, I know. But any man who brought me the tail of a Linani Beast would be so brave, I would have to marry him. Now, the young man was inspired. Now he knew how to win this girl. All he had to do was get the tail off a Linani Beast, and she would be his at last. He would go at once, he decided. So that young man sharpened his knife and set off into the forest in search of the Linani Beasts. Now, the Linani Beasts lived in a grove deep into the forest. All day long they slept, but at dusk the Linani Beasts woke up, and then They went a-hunting for bones to crunch, preferably human bones. Now, here is a secret about the Linanis that no one knows. The Linanis had learned that humans coveted their tails. So, to keep humans from sneaking up on them, the Linani had developed a strange sleeping habit. While the Linani slept, they would keep opening and closing their eyes, but they would really actually be sound asleep all the while, even when their eyes were wide open. And that's not all. While they slept, they would mutter under their breaths. When their eyes were closed, they would mutter, "I'm asleep." When their eyes were open, they would mutter, "I'm awake. I'm asleep. I'm awake. I'm asleep. I'm awake. I'm asleep. I'm awake." But really, they were sleeping soundly all the time. When the young man reached the grove of the Linani Beast, he saw them lying in mounds all over the ground. They seemed at first glance to be asleep, but when he ventured closer, he saw they were opening their eyes every few minutes and muttering, "I'm asleep, I'm awake, I'm asleep, I'm awake, I'm asleep, I'm awake." They only sleep for a few seconds at a time, the young man thought. How can I sneak in and cut off a Linani tail? He sat down to watch them for a while. He watched them for a long while, and he noticed when the Linani opened their eyes, they never looked around. He noticed that when the Linani said, "I'm awake," they kept right on breathing deeply as if in sleep. I think these Linani are really sleeping the whole time, he thought. I don't believe they wake up when they open their eyes. He had to have that tail. So he took the wrist and slowly he tiptoes over to the sleeping Linani. He stepped over the first Linani. "I'm asleep, I'm awake, I'm asleep, I'm awake, I'm asleep, I'm awake." The Linani did not move. Aha, thought the young man, I was right. They are all sound asleep. Now the young man tiptoes through the sleeping Linani looking for the most beautiful tail. There, he spotted it. The tail of the chief Linani. Long, sleek, silky. That was the tail for his true love. The young man pulled out his knife, and that knife was so sharp, with one quick slash, he cut that tail right off. It was so quick, and the Linani was sleeping so deeply that it didn't even wake up. "I'm asleep, I'm awake, I'm asleep, I'm awake, I'm asleep. Ouch! I'm awake, I'm asleep, I'm awake." The young man tiptoed out of the pile of sleeping beasts. He began to run back through the forest with the tail. "Now she will marry me," he said. "Tonight she will be mine." But he still had a long way to travel to reach his village. Night began to fall. Back at the grove, the Linani began to wake up. "Wake up, Linani, wake up. Time to go out and crunch some bones." The Linani began to stretch and get up. The Linani Beast laying next to the chief sat up, and he put his hand on the ground and he felt something wet and sticky. It was blood from the chief's tail, but "What is this?" He began to laugh. "The chief has wet his bed. The chief has wet his bed." The chief sat up and scowled. "What?" He put his hands down on the ground. "What? It is blood. My tail. Someone has cut off my tail. Only a human would do such a thing like this. Whoever this man is, today he becomes my enemy." The Linani began to snuffle around the grove, and soon they discovered a trail of blood leading into the forest. "I go to fetch my tail and our supper," said the chief. He picked up a handful of straw grass and tied it into a magic knot. Holding the knot in front of him, he began to chant, "You who became my enemy today, you who became my enemy today, no matter where you go, no matter where you hide, I will find you. Speak to me." And the magic knot of grass drew that young man's voice running down the forest path. And the young man felt himself suddenly answering. I, his voice burst out. He could not stop it. "I who became your enemy today, I who became your enemy today, I cut your tail." The magic knot made him say that. The young man began to call out, "I didn't mean to do it, I didn't mean to do it. The woman made me do it." The Linani stomped down the path after that young man, and the young man ran. Every little while the Linani would stop and call again. You who became my enemy today, you who became my enemy today, no matter where you go, no matter where you hide, I will find you. Speak to me. And the young man would be forced to stop and call back, I who became your enemy today, I who became your enemy today, I cut your tail. Oh, but I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it. The woman made me do it. The young man reached his village and he ran to that girl's house. Here is your Linani tail. Now will you marry me? She was impressed. The tail of a Linani. How brave you must be. Of course I will marry you. Then hide me. The Linani is coming. The young girl covered him with her mats. He was completely out of sight. The Linani entered the village. He looked around at all the houses. He is hiding in one of these huts, he said. He who became my enemy today, he who became my enemy today, no matter where you go, no matter where you hide, I will find you. Speak to me. Under the mats, the young man felt his voice coming out of him. I who became your enemy today, I who became your enemy today, I cut your tail. Oh no, I didn't mean to do it. I didn't mean to do it. The woman made me do it. The Linani followed the sound of that voice. He pushed into that house, and there sat the girl holding his tail. He didn't see the young man anywhere. You who became my enemy today, you who became my enemy today, no matter where you go, no matter where you hide, I will find you. Speak to me. Under the mats, the young man hid both hands over his mouth, but it was no use. Still, his voice came out. I will become your enemy today. I will become your enemy today. I cut your tail, Lord. He leapt to his feet and he begged the Linani. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it. The woman made me do it. The Linani stared at that girl. The woman made you do it? And he snatched his tail back from the girl and he turned to that young man. But the man is in charge of his own actions. He snatched that young man up and he threw him over his back and he marched out of that house, out of the village and into the forest. And that young man was never seen again. Now, in that village, they tell the young girls, if you love a young man, do not ask impossible things. Do not do that. And to the young men they say, if you love a young woman, no matter what she says, no matter what she asks, remember that the man is responsible for his own actions. So, what do you think? Was it wrong of the young man to steal the tail of the Linani? Was the young girl to blame, or was it all the young man's fault? This would be a good discussion to have with your friends and family. And I bet you could draw some great pictures of what you think those Linani beasts look like. You can share them with me on Instagram at Journey with Story. And remember, if you want a chance to win some fun prizes, get busy with your drawings, writing your reviews, and send them to me today because August the 20th is our deadline. And be sure and tune in next week at a regular time for our 100th episode of Journey with Story. Lots of fun for everyone, announcement of our winners, special guests, and other fun stuff. Cheerio then. Join me next time for the 100th episode of Journey with Story.